Onus of justification, aka burden of proof. Oh, we just sort of alluded to that. Since atheism classification is not justified by claims or against theistic or anti-theistic positions, the burden of proof is not applicable in regard to this, although it is certainly possible to have reasons for choosing atheism. Such justification is not necessary. Now, it depends what you mean by necessary here. It's never necessary to justify your position, but to be able to justify your position makes it rational. And every person, whatever their position, once they've considered a proposition, whether they believe it, they disbelieve it, they're unsure of it, or some other position, they should be able to justify themselves, as in explain why they hold that position, to ensure that their position is rational. Then you can have a conversation with them and maybe poke a couple of holes, make a couple of questions. Maybe they'll realise, oh, actually, I hadn't thought of that. And you might end up in a different position, or they might have found more reasons to justify their position, which shows actually it is a rational position to hold.
Yeah. And also, he's done kind of a bait and switch with the burden of proof here, because he's going on about it in the sense of, well, you've made a claim, I've not made a claim, so therefore the burden of proof is on you. But in a conversation, burden of proof doesn't really work like that. If you want to have a productive and progressive discussion, the burden of proof thing isn't a thing. It's not an actual thing. You just justify your position, and if somebody makes a claim, you say, I don't believe you, you explain why.
Yeah, and it is that easy. If you were to say, oh, well, I don't accept the Genesis story from the Bible as a literal telling. Why? And if you go, well, I just don't, that's not a well thought out position.
Yeah, it's not a very good rational position.
No, well, I just don't. Because I said so. I mean, shit, how often did we hate our parents when they'd say, go do this? Why? Because I said so. How irate did that make all of us? Yet, we're in debate online, you go, well, I just don't believe you. I just don't believe you. Shut up. Explain yourself.
Yep. Explain, yep.
Although I realise that sounds a bit contrary, me going, shut up and explain yourself. I meant, shut up with that, I just don't believe you, and then explain yourself in a rational way.
Well, the thing as well is you have all these people going on about how they want less believers and how they want believers to see that their position is irrational. How are you going to do that if all you do is say, well, I don't have to prove anything. I just don't believe you.
Exactly. What's your purpose of debating theists online, or even just having a conversation with them? Are you really just there to go, well, I don't believe you, I think you're irrational, I don't believe you? Is that going to achieve anything? It's one of the reasons I actually quite often prefer having a conversation with a theist online, because as soon as they realise that I'm more up for a conversation than telling them that they're stupid, we have a good conversation. Yes, we operate a different ontological position. Yes, they think I'm wrong about my disbelief in gods, and I think that they're wrong for believing in God. But other than that, we realise we've got a lot of similarities between us. A lot of our morality is the same. We think about a lot of world issues in the same way. And actually, the fact that we do or don't believe in gods becomes a little bit irrelevant to the whole situation.